Welcome to the Solon Vanguard channel. Today we have this amazing Deletor deck profile. So this is probably the most cancerous deck in the game right now. Like, there is really no fun in playing against this deck. They just rush you, and if triggers don't fully go your way, you just sit there and die. End of story. There's not a lot you can do. I did make a how to beat Deletor video, so if you're interested in that, either way, I will show you the beauty that is this cancer. We start off with 3 of the Forerunner. You could definitely run 4. It's just one of the best cards in this deck because first of all, it countercharges, which is a very valuable resource in this deck. You don't want to lose your counterblast because they allow you to delete in the early game. It allows you to given in the early game. It allows you to call cards with a grade 2 and so forth. There's many uses for the counterblast, and so the card to charge is very good. But most importantly, when you retire this card, you get something as a replacement, and that's very important for the deck for the simple reason that once you do your given, which is a very busted combo, you will lose your whole field. And if you then start getting cards back to then further your onslaught, that has lots of value. I will show you the main combo for this, and then you will realize why this card is so good. Could definitely pump it up to 4. 4 of the main grade 3 Koreans. He basically allows you to delete no matter where your opponent is at, 2, 3, 0, it doesn't matter. And that is very important because this means if you have the die roll, you can first do your bullshit at 2 and then at 3. No questions asked. They usually don't have enough resources to deal with that attack from a 3 to a 2. Even though their power goes to 0, they didn't get any draws or double drive checks or even triple drive checks for that matter, and so that actually hurts them a lot. That's the only grade 3 I run because you never want to ride anything else. Then we have 4 Given, the most busted card in this deck. This allows you to restand your grade 3 Vanguard, so even when they're at 2 you can do your bullshit, get a restand of him. The problem is that he sacrifices your whole field, so if you then trigger a stand it no longer works. However, what you can do is cards like your starter will die along with your whole field, and you will get back a new card which can then attack again. Then you can swing with your Vanguard, restand, and so forth. Basically, if you draw into this in the early game, you are probably gonna win. 4 of the 10k vanilla, for the simple reason that it hits magic numbers. We will often call triggers, so let's say we have this and a trigger behind it, then you are at 15, and that means you're at a magic number. You also run the grade 1, that's only a 5k, so that way you hit the 15k magic number pretty damn fast. 3 of this guy, this is basically a colony maker. If your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, counterblast 2, and you call a card from the deck. That way you fill field because of course you will be sacrificing your field in order to delete. 2 of this douchebag. You could run more, but this deck is more so focused on the rush, the win on the grade 3, and so usually you want to end the game before they get to striding. But what this card does is if he hits, your opponent can't stride, and it's very painful when they're on a deleted Vanguard. 4 of the PG. When your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you can bind this card from your drop zone and give something plus 4k. Since we always have very small columns, that is very welcome. 4 of this guy. When you stride with it, you get yourself an extra piece, and as I said, those resources really matter for everything you do. 3 of this douche. Again, the exact same reason. What he does is when he's placed, Soul Blast 2, and then you draw a card, which means you are more able to fill your field and win that way. 3 of the 10k attackers, because as I said, you want to hit those magic numbers with your smaller columns. 10 plus a 5k forms your 15. 4, when your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you draw something, which again makes you fill that field up. Then one of the best cards in the deck, this Stand. When he's retired, you call something new from the top of the deck, which then extends your attacks after a given. I will show you later. 4 more Stands, you're 5k, so you don't mind actually calling them considering all the 10ks you run. And then 4 heals because we do actually G-guard, because one of our G-guards is absolutely stupid. Now for the G-zone, we run 4 Ao Dayen. This is basically the only card you want to be striding. If you're not striding him, something is going wrong. He just gives you a free delete. End of story. You only really stride when you don't have a given, because when you do have a given, that restand is way too good. But then if you don't have the given, you go into Ao Dayen and boom. 2 of this, never use him. 2 of this, let's say you're against Chaos or something, well then you still have some fun with that. 3 of this, But 2 of this, the biggest asshole in this whole deck if you don't count the annoying rush. This card basically says to your opponent's front row, -1 for every deleter on your field, for every deleter face up in your G-zone, and that way they're usually just attacking with worthless tiny ass columns. This card is absolutely dumb. Luckily Aqua Force, my main deck, has resist, so they don't really care. But if you don't, well, this card is an absolute ass. And then 1 Lacus Carina. You could run 2, but this card is so dumb that you usually use that instead. Next up, I thought it'd be cool if we did a little play demonstration of how this rush actually works, so that you too can see with your very own eyes why this deck is absolutely dumb and something should be done about it. So, demonstration. This is our opening hand. We have a Greyant, this card. Pretty solid. This is probably, you're gonna win this game. If you see this opening hand, doesn't really matter what your opponent is gonna do, you're gonna win. So, and they rush you, so you take another damage. Okay, cool. Rush denied because you got that random trigger. Now it's time for some actual fun. So we ride into Greyant. Greyant requires 2 retires, so let's first of all, we call this card Soul Blast 2. Draw. Okay, we have Stride Fodder for next turn, if they survive this. Le Mao. Let's say we call this card right here. Use his skill. Kill these 2. And see, the fun thing is, because they gave you damage, you can keep his skill for after you're given. Because normally, if you denied damage, what you had to do was use this to get your counter charge in order to be able to counterblast with given. But since they gave you damage, you can now use his skill for an extra attack even during the battle phase. Thanks, guys. And then, so we put our given right here. Luckily, we also have this cunt right here. Let's just say we have to call something like this, or if you're really afraid you can't stride next turn, you could always do something like this. As you can see, an unideal field. Your opponent is deleted, by the way. That doesn't really matter because you're gonna win anyway. So you're gonna swing for 10. Remember, they're at 0. They have to call down 2 cards, a 10k and a 5k to even guard his first dumb swing. Then you go in for 16. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Nothing and nothing. Wow, they're lucky. Nice. So, then you swing with given for 13, so again they have to call a 10k and a 5k to even guard this first onslaught. Given skill activates, so you retire your whole damn field to restand your Vanguard, but now these skills will activate. First this one goes into soul, counter charge, and you check the top card. Oh, a heal trigger, wow. Now you also use this card, check top card. Oh, a Greyant, cool. So now we have this new little thing right here, and even if they got a defensive trigger, this still hits. So you go in for 5, then you go in for 16, because this cunt actually pluses. Then you go in for another 11. Check a stand trigger, hey, fun time, stand. And nothing, and then you swing again. You did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks on a 0 Vanguard. Either you won this turn, or they have 0 resources to do anything on first stride. And that's basically the gameplay of the deck. You don't really do anything else. That's literally all you do. That's the only combo this deck has. That's the only combo you need to know. Let's say you get into stride, okay, sure. So you start G-guarding and they really can't do anything because they have 0 attack right there. And then you go for your absolutely free ass deletes. If you have given, you don't stride at all and you just do what I showed you last time. It's just a really dumb deck. Everyone will hate you for playing it, but it does win. So if you love winning, play this deck. I don't get how it didn't win Worlds. I guess some people like having fun. But hope you found this interesting. If you did, please don't use this against opponents unless you absolutely want to win and play competitively, because at locals you will be an absolute massive cunt. Subscribe to the Solemn Vanguard channel for more, click that bell button to stay up to date, and I will see you soon. Ciao!